What's up, team, and welcome back to the Kaisa Show, where
today we are going to talk about core values.
Ooh, you did good. I thought I was going to put you on blast and you weren't going to know what to say, but we're working on a tagline around here. We don't quite have it yet, so for now, we're just going to let you know what we're talking about. If you have a good tagline for us, let us know.
To Kaisa, DM her.
There we go.
She reads them.
I do.
Allegedly.
I do. No, I read them all. And I answer back.
How many do you get in a day on average?
Okay, not all. That is not true. I do not read them all. I would say on average I get 30 to 50. Yeah. Because you get people comment. It depends on how active I am. If I have a lot of stories going, you get people DMing back. I try to look always also in the news section of DMs because they are kind of filtered out. So if anybody has a question that I've never talked to before, I don't want them buried there. It's how we connect with the team. I love it.
It's a DM world.
It is a DM world. But people are always like, you must spend a lot of time then. Yes, I spend an hour plus going through DMs and answering questions, at least a day.
And how many blocks a day do you have to hit them with?
Oh, no, just like a block a month.
Just a block a month? That's it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
Unless there's like something, for some reason, my masks, like wearing my choice to wear a mask while I work out is very triggering to people, which is going to be coming off soon, which is, exciting in Seattle, but it's super triggering to people. So I just don't want to listen to that anymore. So I do block people a little bit more than normal.
I thought it'd be more for like the feet people.
Oh, I do get a few weird
everybody,
fetish.
Yeah, there's a lot of feet messages on Instagram.
Yeah. I don't get a lot of that. I don't know. I always say, I think it's like, I'm conscious about what I put out. So I don't think I invite a lot of that in, but of course there's going to be the occasional. I get asked to be, if I'll be people's wives a lot.
Did you not post any of those feet pictures that we took last week? We did a little feet portrait session.
Not. He is literally trying to put me on blast. That did not happen for anyone listening. Everyone knows I do not love my feet, so we do not take any feet pictures. I love my feet. Let me take that back. I am more than my feet. And they have gotten me through a lot. But we are not doing portraits. I am not a foot model. It's not happening.
Yeah.
Okay, let's get into what's buzzing.
What's buzzing?
Are you going first?
I got to set a timer here.
Okay, and you're the chatty Cathy, so I am going to go first this time. So what's buzzing for me is Zara jeans. Now, if you're somebody who has bigger legs like me, it is super hard to find jeans that fit. And then on top of that, it's super hard to find affordable jeans that fit because jeans now, for some reason, average $200+ which is insane. And the other day, my dear sister told me to go to Zara and try on a pair of jeans, and they fit like a glove. And they're perfection. And I am so excited. And they are $49.
Does Zara make men and women's Yeah,
Zara makes men and women's. I can't vouch for the men's jeans.
Okay.
For women, they fit true to size. So they really do fit me the way that other jeans fit. But they're not always, it's Zara. So some jeans are hit or miss. But generally speaking, all the ones that I've worn fit me true to size.
Okay.
And they're $49.
I am going to check out Zara.
You should. I have actually told you about Zara.
You did. I was wondering if this is the place you were telling me last time.
This is the place that I was mentioning. I think that Zara they have a better quality. There's a lot of more, what do they call them? Like fast fashion brands. I think Zara has a better quality. They also just have, I wear their stuff and it fits well. When things are a little bit cheaper, they don't often fit so well. And I love it. So that's why I'm buzzing.
I'm in the big leg category as well.
Yeah.
And it's either been, it's like they're too baggy or they're too tight. And it is frustrating.
It's so frustrating.
And I've noticed they started making an athletic fit in men's jeans, but typically then they're like kind of overly baggy in the booty and the legs. And then they kind of taper down. So it's just like not quite the look.
Yeah.
But sometimes the ones that end up fitting even halfway decent, they end up really tight around my calves.
Yeah.
So then they kind of creep up.
Yeah. No, it's it is so crazy. And a more athletic body, bigger legs, whatever, is I can never find anything to wear, or it's like skin tight because it's basically elastic.
Exactly.
And I don't like that look either.
Jeggings. Well, that was like where it kind of originated. But now so much of the denim is like flex denim, which is so nice.
Which is nice. Yeah. But I still have a hard time finding things that fit. So, and I've been wearing them. I have posted them in the last few pictures on social media, and people were asking. This is where I got. That's why I was prepared for today's What's Buzzin' topic, is because for anyone that's asking, they're from Zara.
Zara. Okay.
Yeah.
You said there is a Seattle store, right?
Yeah, downtown.
Check them. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. I am buzzing on this phone case / wallet. I think I already told you last week, didn't I? And I was using it all day.
He was buzzing.
Yeah. Here, you can hold it over there. So you can be the hand model. So check it out. So just
it's heavy.
Peak design. Take the wallet off though. Just pop that off.
Pull it.
Just pull it. Ooh, it's magnet.
And that was strong, so it's not just gonna like fall off.
Thing I like about it is, first of all, it made me reduce my wallet stuff, which was already a good buzz, if you will. Now look, you can open that up again, and it's like a stand, so it's just chilling. You're FaceTiming mom,
for all of you, Instagram. FaceTime.
Or if you're Instagramming yourself, or you may be watching a little video while you're having a bowl of cereal, whatever you want to do. But then when you don't want it, you just pop it off, right?
Yeah.
And then the cool thing is that case.
I'm exploring. Are you okay with me exploring?
Yeah, get in there.
Yeah.
The case is magnetic itself. So that case just like it'll stick to like the fridge, or so if you want to like put something up when you're like in the kitchen and you got a recipe, or
this
a video,
is cool.
Or
again, you're selling me. This is the first buzzin' product that you're selling me on.
You like the Beats Fits Pro too, but
I didn't go and buy them. I think I might go buy this. What brand is this?
Peak Design.
You said
they make cool stuff. And the cool thing about this, like they did a whole product line around this. So like they have mounts for, your bike that you don't ride, or your motorcycle that you don't commute on anymore. But like just a ton of different mounts, chargers. It all works with that little like magnetic square on the back. So pop that wallet off. See that little square? That's some like weird, here, I didn't even hit you with, pulled out that little loop on the bottom. Just pop that out and put your finger through there while you're looking at the phone, right? That's pretty good.
Okay, I'm sold.
It's kind of fire.
How much is this?
I think each were around, I think the case was like $50.
Okay.
Which isn't like, it's kind of Apple prices.
Yeah.
It's not cheap, but it's not like crazy. The wallet surprisingly was like $60. Which is weird.
Oh, they didn't come together.
No, I bought them together, but it's kind of like you can create this whole ecosystem. They have a little mini tripod that magnetically goes on there that you can do. It's kind of cool, right?
I'm sold.
And that, folks, is 5 minutes.
There we go.
We did it. That was efficient.
And I really feel like that was, I'm going to say it again, that was the first one. You're getting better at your QVC sales pitch. Yeah. The faster, straight to the point, better. I'm sold.
It's I'm not going to lie. There's some tactics happening.
Have you been practicing?
This is just a thing I do in everyday life, and now I have a place that I feel safe that I could share these obsessions.
No, but did you practice how you were going to sell us on this?
Okay. No, this is just like I go down rabbit holes to buy this. This was like 3 days of like watching videos and getting obsessed. That's how I work.
Oh, so if I'm looking at something, this is what I do with my dad. If I'm looking at something, I just like drop a hint like, hey, like I've been looking like for a new vacuum cleaner. Like, do you have any suggestions? He's like, hold on, give me a day. I'll give you the best one.
Yeah. It's
okay, so do that to you as well.
We'll see. So it tends to be self-interested, like motivated. I don't know if you give me something that I don't care about, if I would really go down the rabbit hole.
Okay.
Maybe we can try it out sometime.
Okay.
Moving on.
Yes.
Moving on. So we at Just Move have been really working on a lot of things this year. A lot of things, a lot of cool things are happening. And one of the really cool things that are happening is starting to develop like, who is the company? Like, what does the company stand for? Which is essentially like what do you stand for? And then us as a team is kind of coming together and help put words around that.
Yeah.
And I feel like we just recently really reached a point where we've got these really 5 core values that we want to sort of just kind of put out there and share and go into detail about some of the like the story behind each one and share that, because these aren't like permanent. These aren't on the website or anything yet.
They're still moldable. I think one of the cool things about us as a company and our core values is, and Craig has said this forever, Craig is my business partner, he is always like, you live them. They're like, it's how we run the company. It's what we do, but they're never defined anywhere. So like from the outside or anybody else that's coming new into the company, we need to be able to tell people exactly what it is, just because you living them and, us constantly running our company from them without them being defined makes things difficult. So this is like, as we grow as a company, we're getting, a little bit older and more mature in our business. And today's meeting was so cool to be having these discussions. And so are we just going to go into like more detail?
I think so. Yeah. And I think the other thing just to mention that I think is really unique is that most of the time you would never share your core values until they're like set in stone and they have like full approval and they're on the wall and all, like you don't share brand stuff. But I think what's cool about the way we do things is that like we're just rolling it out in a way that's like, honestly, we'd love to hear what people think, right? Today, it's not a one-way conversation. It's like, hey, do you feel like we represent these things? Because that's super important.
I appreciate you saying that. I think also we are a service-based company, and we are never coming from a place that says we know exactly 100% that our service is perfect the way that it is. And we always want to hear from people. And it always feels like a collaborative effort with everything that we're doing. I mean, obviously, like I have lots of visions and goals and dreams about where this is all going, but we also always want to hear from the community, because ultimately at the end of the day, this is for the community.
Absolutely.
So, cool.
And I mean, just to like front load a little bit more, is that like these are core values for a company. This isn't necessarily like always a company podcast, but you'll see these core values are not just like, we stand behind our dollar or something like that. There's like a deep, a lot of thought and backstory to a lot of these that are really your story.
Yeah.
So let's go ahead and kick it off. With this one, which just changed this morning, and this is where we're at, but health is a feeling, not a look.
Oh,
let's talk about
Let's just say that one again. Health is a feeling, not a look. That has been a permanent core value of mine since the moment I stepped into this industry. And almost because I naively walked in thinking that everybody, moved and did the things that they did to take care of themselves because they wanted to feel their best. And we've talked about this a lot. There was a very rude awakening of realizing most people wanted to look a certain way and thought that health meant, if they had the six pack or they had, the big arms or whatever it was. And so my message for my entire career has been that we move and we fuel and we take care of ourselves to feel a certain way, not to change the way that we look.
Yes. And let's like, just how do you feel like other companies or the industry is say when you started however many years ago? How long has it been since you kind of got in?
I know, I've always tried to calculate 12.
Okay.
12 or 13. It's been a while.
So what do you think the journey has been over of that time?
For me personally or for the industry?
Both.
Yeah. I mean, I think the industry sells a look because it is really easy to play off of people's insecurities, and there's a lot of money to be made there. And so most people in this world, because we are constantly summed up by what we look like, people think that a lot of their issues or problems or, happiness or whatever would change if they just looked the image that they're, sold to look. And so, of course, when health and wellness industry comes along and now we're growing to $1 trillion industry, we're making so much money off of continuing to tell people that lie and make the money off of their insecurities. And so for me, I mean, obviously it's something that I don't personally believe in, but it's something as we, as a company grow, are adamantly going to be against as well, because it just is not the way. Health, I mean, we've talked about this a lot too. There was a point in my life where I looked the most quote unquote definition of health. This is when I was like on a cover of a magazine and everything in my life would from the outside look like, you are so healthy, you've got it going on. And I was the least healthiest. I was miserable. I was very depressed. Like that was not health. And so it's, for me, this picture that constantly gets pushed out, this lie needs to be kind of, I don't want to argue against it. I just want to have something that is the antithesis of that, which is our company, which is Just Move.
Yeah. And it's interesting, like, I mean, I think this secret is a little bit more exposed nowadays than it was. But like when we look at a magazine, it's a health magazine. Whoever is on the front is the representation of what health or fitness, whatever that thing is. And most of the time, that person is like not in a good place body wise, even if you're just going body. Like most of the time there's like, it's kind of like you're getting ready for like a fight, like you're cutting weight, you're not drinking water so that you have less body fat and all these things. But we look to that as, oh, that's how I should be looking. Or if I'm working out, that's how I should be looking. And it's kind of this like, you can achieve that. And then what happens though when you achieve that? Like now what?
It's not health. You're not healthy. So then, but then it's like clarifying definitions of health. Like, and that's why it's always health. We're constantly sold that health looks a certain way, and that's not true at all. Even down to like BMI, like all of these kind of like made up things to sell a version of health. And when we like for so long now, not for so long, but in the past years, we've been starting to understand that a body type, you cannot look at somebody's body and say, oh, they're healthy or, oh, they're not healthy. Like that's just not an indication anymore on the grand scheme of things. So I think for us, and I just want to go back to like a cover of a magazine, that human being is so dehydrated to be able to flex and look like that, has probably severely, like really dieted to get to that point to look like that, and will not most likely look like that a week later. Doesn't even look like that 2 hours after, once they start drinking water, so to me, it's just such a lie. And if you don't know that, you're in the gym, you're working out, you're doing all these things, you're dieting because you think that like ultimately that's where you need to go, but where you're headed is so incredibly unhealthy, not sustainable, and most likely not attainable.
Yeah. And or heavily edited, on the computer, and or just genetically that way is the other thing, which you've talked about. Genetics is such a big part of it. We're not all the same.
No, some people can't, like the way that your abs are set up, your rectus, like not everybody has the definition to be able to get a 6-pack or an 8-pack or like what, you know what I mean? It's like, it just is, it's a lie. And so for me, rather than, I don't want to be a negative company, bringing it back to like our core values. I don't want to fight against the masses here. I just want to be able to like be in our belief system and be there like really loudly and strongly. Also like one by what we say, but also just what we represent as a company. We never sell anything, no product, no anything you're going to find from us talks about changing the way that you look, talks about co-signing that like, if you looked this way, that must mean you're healthier. We don't do that. We have performance-based programs because we want you to feel a certain type of way. Maybe you want to feel more mobile or, whatever it is, but we do not, nowhere in our company is health a look. It is always a feeling, down to every single thing that we say, the products we sell, everything we do.
So going into that, then the other side, what we're not, is like, how do you create a feeling? How do you evoke? How do you get people to get into touch or know what that feeling is as a goal for them to know like what they're going towards or when they've reached it or how to keep going? Like how maybe kind of go into that.
Well, that is really hard. One, it differs based on every single human being is different, and the different times of your life, the different seasons of your lives. The first thing I say is just when you start getting into movement, we're going to talk about movement, but also there's different ways that you can, start becoming a healthier version of yourself. You often don't realize how bad you felt until you start feeling better. And a simple indication is maybe your energy levels or your mood. If you're sleeping more, like there's certain things that you can start paying attention to that are indicators that you're coming from a place and becoming more healthier as you step out of that place. It is hard though. This is the thing that I'm not going to deny. It's so much easier to sell, that if you bought all these products and you look this way, you'd be your happiest, healthiest version. Like that's a very easy route to take. When you start to feel better, there's certain things that we encourage. Like what can you do now that you couldn't do before? Are you out of pain now? Do you have the ability to maybe go chase your children or grandchildren around that you never had? Do you feel more confident in who you are because you're super proud that you just did 2 push-ups? Like those are the types of things that we're trying to encourage. We're trying to set up an environment that encourages, because I think those are also the most lasting things. Like when you start to feel better about yourself, not by what you look like, but about who you actually are and the things that you can do, and just feeling good in your body and having the energy to show up for people and being in a better mood. Those are the things that are, on the days that you maybe don't want to move. Those are the things that are going to encourage you to keep moving, or, to get better sleep, or to hydrate, or to feel better. Like those are the actual true sustainable motivators.
Yeah. That gives me an idea I feel like we could create more concrete goals that are performance, like the painless mile. Like how could you walk a mile with no pain, or a flight of stairs with, no pain, or, cause sometimes it's hard to be like, oh, do you feel like you have more energy? That one's always been really hard for me, cause I've done a ton of different like eating, ways of eating or exercise and just self-care, whatever the thing is. And it's kind of a hard one for me to tap into, go like, do I have more energy? Cause it's a hard measure. Whereas when you have a scale, what do you weigh today?
Absolutely.
What do you weigh tomorrow? What do you weigh the next? It's so easy.
It's so easy.
Yeah. There's room, I think, for us to get creative in finding ways to have results based off of like feelings that aren't to do with how you look, but how you feel.
Yeah. And just like results that are based off of honoring your body. Like there's nothing wrong with where you're at right now. And I think that when the health and wellness industry when we encourage movement or dieting or this and that, it's constantly coming from a place of there's something wrong with you. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? You got to fix it. You got to change it. And I think we always say like movement is a celebration of what the body can do. Like we're here to constantly show your body, like love, and to be grateful, and to do more things for it, to help it, feel better and live a longer life. But we're never coming from a negative space. There is nothing wrong with you, much the opposite. Like you're incredible, and we're lucky every single day to wake up. So let's do what we can throughout that day, to honor that and take care of ourselves.
Yes. That was so visionary and big feeling. I'm thinking so small. Now I'm just like, I'm excited about these little things that I've experienced where I'm sure you've done this or had it happen, where you like can't touch your toes or something like that. And then someone like walks you through like a handful of different like mobility or stretches. And then you go to retest it and you can do it. And you're like, whoa, like that, there needs to be more of that.
Absolutely. Yeah. Because that's like instant, like you can instantly see like results of things. Well, that's why mobility is so incredible also. Like I feel like right away you start to feel different in your body. But when you were saying this, I am realizing, I think there's a lot of things that we can set up that are more feeling based, that give people kind of concrete. We're human beings. We're motivated by results. I think so many people like to know like, what's the end point, or why am I doing this here? I totally understand that not everybody loves to move. I think that once you kind of get into movement, you will enjoy it more. And once you test things out and see what your body like resonates with, you'll enjoy it more. But I also think like we're results-based people. So maybe we just need to set up more opportunities for people to feel specific results depending on, what they're going for.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Health is a feeling, not a look.
Amen.
Okay. This one's cool. And the great thing is all these are so connected. But number 2 is celebrate first steps and next steps.
I think this might be like one of my favorite ones. I think because for me personally, I think that one of my biggest skills is to be a cheerleader. And I think that so many people in life just need some encouragement, just need someone like cheering them on for it could be the first step, it could be the last step, it could be whatever it is, but like you just need somebody, your teammate, a cheerleader, whatever it is, to encourage you in life. And I think that for us, it's not about reaching massive milestones. It's not about changing your life. It's not about changing your body. It's not about all these things. It's literally just about the fact that you showed up today. Maybe you started your journey or you're continuing your journey, and we're super proud of you. And we're very excited to have you here with us. And I think that as a company, as a human, when I was training, like that was always so important to me. And then as a company, I think that's something that we really stand for and embody.
Yeah. And I think definitely like when we think about like start moving, that is definitely for a lot of people like first steps. Absolutely. It's totally amazing if someone wants to be at those first steps. Like people can stay and start moving, and there's a place for that. And then also there's room to go beyond into like whatever else you want to do. It's not set up really with an end result in mind. It's more of like, it's up to them how they want to take that. And I think it's cool to sort of have, like, there's so much around like completing something or getting to that point that makes you accomplished. And I think for us, it's more about just starting that journey.
And also celebrating being a beginner. Mm-hmm. Like, I think that's another thing to us that's so important, is like a concept that I always play with is there's so many places in my life that I am just beginning on things. And I, like, people are so encouraging as you do that, which makes you want to continue that thing. But for some reason in movement, it's like so looked down upon if you're just beginning your movement journey, if you're just starting to understand what it means, like what certain exercises are, like what it means to understand how, what your back feels like, or all these things. It's always so negative. And I think for us as a company, it's like, we are so proud of you deciding to take this step with us. And again, like, I think we're talking about Start Moving is our very true beginner program. And I think for most people, that's not found in a lot of other things as they step into movement. And I want people to constantly feel encouraged and supported on their movement journey when they're in our community, and of course when they're outside of it. But
sure. How would you say, I mean, other than like what we create, and maybe that's the answer, but like, how do you specifically, would you say you like celebrate first steps and next steps?
I think you mean like as a company, like what are we doing with that?
I think as you, like how you personally.
I think my cheerleading self is just always I just am always so proud of people, like wherever they're at, like whether they just learned how to squat for the first time and they're squatting pain-free, or I don't know, a lot of times it's like stories that people are telling me, or people will DM me, or people will message in the Facebook group. And I just most of the time the team knows, like, I really get emotional. I cry over these things because it's just so, I think those are the things that are so life-changing that I don't know why I feel so connected to strangers, but probably because I got to start my journey with so many people that are these true beginners. And so I know exactly what they're feeling like as they're going through these things. And I know how proud they should be. And sometimes it takes somebody also recognizing that about you and being proud of you in order for you to kind of like, take that in yourself. But I think the way that I communicate that is definitely through social.
Yeah. And I think, as you said, that like sharing, like that's what's so special about when people share stories with us or with you having the ability to share their story is a celebration of their story.
Absolutely.
And I think that's just something that, like, that's one of the great things about social media, I would say, that having that access. Because in the past, like, you didn't see, they didn't come off real or authentic, at least in the, like infomercials, you get these testimonials, and of course the person was paid actors, to be there, and it's just so canned. But now it's like, we really do get or have the opportunity to hear real stories. And I mean, we've talked about it on this podcast before. The stories that we get are so incredible and so moving. And by celebrating that person, I think not only do they feel really acknowledged and encouraged to keep doing whatever their journey is, but then it also encourages and inspires other people to want to be a part of that journey too, or create their own.
Absolutely. And I think this is why I think our community is such a big piece of all this. One, because they do fuel each other, but they also fuel us. Like if we're over here, I could be over here not hearing from the community, not knowing if, the thing that I'm creating is the right thing. We really, like, we are all intertwined in that way. And so I think, like, again, if you're in this space and like the more you let us know, the more we're in this together, the better it's all going to be. But I think the way that we share stories, and hopefully like, we'll continue to do that, is kind of one of the most magical ways to keep cheerleading people from afar.
Absolutely. That was,
sorry.
Go ahead.
I think we always want to be a supportive place as well that is not results. And I just, like, when I look at what like friends and family, in people that are doing, there's always, they feel connected to a community so long as they're getting those results and like being able to stick with them, like a Weight Watchers or something that's happening, right? Like you only belong in that community if you're doing that thing at the moment. And so I think another thing that we really want to do, like community, one of the first things in that sentence is the most important thing for us. Like we want you to always feel like you have a space to come back to, whether you leave, you know, and maybe you're not moving for a little while and you're going through a season of your life where that's not happening. We always want you to feel like you're a part of something that when you're ready to come back, like we're here to cheerlead, you know, that next step on. So I think like as we build out community, I think like that is one of the core principles of who we are at Just Move.
Yeah. And it also, it reminds me of that video we made where it was like, basically just like take a breath, and it was like a minute or two long. It's like creating a space that no matter where you're at, like we have something for you to feel some sort of like whatever accomplishment you need to feel. If it's sweating really hard for 45 minutes, there's that. But it's also like if you literally just want to check in for 1 or 2 minutes and take a quick breath and go, I did something that like I needed to do, and it didn't need to be at this like level that, you know, I'm trying to tell myself it needs to be at.
Yeah. We meet you where you're at.
It's
definitely our goal.
Yeah. Okay. And then you rolled right in beautifully to the next one, which is a community built from joy, not judgment.
Yeah. And I feel like those are very intertwined. I think, I think that when we encourage, like when we come from a space of joy, you know, like as a company or me personally, like when I come from a space of joy with movement and things that we're doing, like we really embody that. And that's what we encourage. And I think, again, like where you see that is our Facebook groups or our lives or our workouts where people are, it's fun. It's joyful to discover things about yourself. It's joyful sometimes not to take it so seriously. It's joyful to be like proud of like the little steps and little things that you're doing. And I think we're not a critical community. Like we meet people where they're at. We want to embody a safe, welcoming space. And I think, you know, joy is a simple way to put it, but we really do embody that. And we're always striving to embody that more and more.
Yeah. I feel like one thing that's unique that I noticed, like say in the Facebook group specifically, is there's a lot of like introduction to here's who I am and what I'm, like whatever, like why I haven't been moving or why I want to move, versus a lot of times I feel like the sharing comes from after you've reached the accomplishment. It's like, hey, here's what I've done. But it's more of like, hey, here's where I'm at. And it's wild, like the support that, you know, people comment and the recommendations of how to get started, or I'm going to do this if you want to join me or whatever. There's so much of a celebration of starting, like in which that is first step. It goes back, yeah. But what's great about that is it's not us, right? That's like the community doing that, which is so cool. But I definitely, there's something there around, I think, people feeling like it's safe because it's a celebration of joy that you started something
and that we're not judging you. Yeah, exactly. I think that's just like everybody feels so judged in their life, like in everything that we do. It's like, just can you have a safe space to come and just be honest and open with, you know, who you are and where you're at. And that unloads so much weight. It's like in therapy when you just get to be like, this is where I'm at right now, you know, and you know, hopefully your therapist is not judging, but it's like, that is that space that we're trying to create. And I think those make it, I want to create something that's sustainable. I don't want somebody to come in and come out of it. I want somebody to feel like they have a community for the rest of their lives and that we grow and support them as they change and as they grow. And I think one of the best ways to do that is to create a constant safe and inviting and supportive space to be in. And I feel like that's what we do. And movement is just the tool that we use.
Yeah. For now.
It
might change down the road. Or more things might be added.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think that's like, it does feel like the world is recognized. We've talked about that a little bit, like recognizing that there's more to health than movement. You know, there's recovery, there's, you know, meditation or sleep, you know, breath, sleep, all these things. Yeah. Exactly. So I think it becoming more holistic is really great. And I think going back to having that class of just breathing for a minute, you know, and it could be something down the line, like you really connected with eating healthy when you were sick recently, and that made you feel like at where you needed to be healthy.
Totally. And just like, honoring myself in that moment, doing what I can with what I had or, you know, where I physically was. Yeah.
Totally. Okay.
I love it.
This next one, pretty to the point. mobility matters.
Oh, I think this is one we're going to keep, just because the thing about the movement industry is there's a lot of the same thing that's happening out there. But I think what we do that's a little bit different, which we do a lot of things different, we also include mobility, which is, and we've been saying like recovery matters. Like we include and give people tools through mobility, the ability to take care of themselves and take care of their bodies. And we really push recovery, and we really push, like I'm always saying, I work out just as hard as I recover, and recovery still feels like a workout. Mobility totally feels like a workout. But I think taking care of your body at the end of the day is a value and a core value of our company. And that is through mobility and through recovery. And I think we are in a push harder, do more, no pain, no gain environment, not just in fitness and wellness, but like in your life. We don't value slowing down. We don't value just literally taking time to take care of yourself. And I think as a company, we really want to push that we do value that. And that in order for you to go do all the things that you want to do in life, you have to first make sure that you're taking care of yourself and taking care of your body.
With mobility.
Yeah.
And I think like with mobility, I've been like really trying out a lot of other like fitness platforms, and just like I always love trying new things, and it's consistent where it's like yoga is very popular. Mm-hmm. There's yoga studios everywhere. There's yoga online everywhere, and we even have yoga, which is great.
Yeah.
But yoga and mobility are very different in a lot of ways, and I think I love yoga and I love doing yoga, but I don't always want to do yoga. Sometimes I actually want to do mobility. And this morning I was actually doing yoga and going, I think today would have been more of a mobility day because it's just more movement, and it's a little bit, I don't know. I feel like it can be, it covers a wider range, and I think that, that is just something that so many people don't know exists.
Yeah.
And I think that's the challenge. I have so many friends who I've worked out with, done a little warm up or whatever, that's like mobility. And they're like, wow, like that's nice. Like you do that, like that feels really good. Or you do it for a few sessions in a row, and they're like, oh, I can touch my elbow down to this now.
I want to pause this just because we're going to go on a tangent. I can already hear people being like, wait, what is mobility exactly? And like, what's the difference between mobility and yoga? And so so there's complicated answers, and then there's a simple answer. So mobility, when we do mobility training, we're focusing on taking the joint through full ranges of motion in a controlled manner. So when we say, like, when people say, what's the difference between yoga and mobility? There are mobility moves inside of yoga, but yoga as a practice, and I cannot speak in depth because I don't know about yoga, but yoga is a spiritual practice. It uses a lot of forms of movement, meditation, breath work to get connected to yourself, mind, body, soul. So there is mobility inside. So sometimes people will do some of our mobility, workouts, and they'll be like, is this yoga? There is some mobility moves inside of yoga. Mobility, though, as a practice, when we're writing these programs and when I'm creating them, my sole focus is to be thinking about the joint. And so much of working out and fitness is focused on cardiovascular and muscles. The reality is, when you focus on taking your joints through full ranges of motion and being able to control that, you're also teaching the muscles to relax or to lengthen. So flexibility training is the ability to, you could be really flexible and touch your toes, but if you cannot control your ranges of motion, you're actually not mobile. So when we do that, your whole body gets a moment to like breathe. That's really what mobility feels like. Your whole body, as you start to train those full ranges of motion, gets to relax, right? Like muscles are tense because they think it's not safe at that joint. Then you feel stiffness and tightness and pain and soreness. So the more you do mobility and the more you teach your body, like I can go through that full range of motion very safely because I can control it. Everything else starts to relax. You start to move freer in your body. You start to notice, your stiffness, your pain kind of literally leave your body. You also, because you have more range of motion, have better ability to become stronger because you can take your muscles through bigger ranges of motion. And I know it's like, I sound like a broken record, but the moment I started incorporating that, because I also had high intensity, a lot of training going with it, all of a sudden my performance was like at an all-time high because I had so much more range that I could control in my body, which meant I could do so many more things. And I became stronger and so on and so on. That was a long definition.
No, it's good. I mean, I think this is part of why it's a core value, because I think the education isn't really out there.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's no, oh, you should be more mobile, or you should be more flexible, or you should, you know, there's like, I think buzzwords that people want to just say, I should be this more, but like, what does that actually mean? And I think to add to what you're saying too, is like, we live in a very repetitive environment. Like we wake up the same way, we sit on the couch the same way, we get in the car the same way, we're on the computer, like all the things we do are very repetitive, and very rarely do we work through a full range of motion. Like how many people squat down, just literally squat down, even if you do it in a workout, how often do you just squat down onto the floor, like in your living room? Like probably not. Like you might squat to the couch and that's great and get up, but like that full range of motion, or how often do your hips fully rotate, you know, like pretty rare.
Yeah. Which means you're not greasing the joint. It's literally that simple. You know, it's these bones. So in the joints, or where two bones are meeting, the more you can move them, the more you're greasing them. If we're stuck in these patterns of all that we're doing, you're literally not greasing up that joint. It's not going to move very well. So I mean, I obviously, like, I could talk about mobility forever, just because I think it's an absolute game changer when you start learning about your body in that way. And that is why we have it as a core value, because ultimately at the end of the day, we want everybody moving, but we want you to feel good in your body while you're moving. And I think that's why it is a core principle for us.
Absolutely. And then just perfect little end core value is that movement can be fun.
Oh, yes. I mean, come on. This is like... This is everything for me, just because I think as somebody who was in this industry, but came from a background of sports and just came from a background of loving movement and just like loving seeing what my body could do and experimenting with movement and failing and learning. I just like it always at the end of the day, except for if I was losing soccer games, it's just fun. Movement. Human beings are made to move. Bodies are made to move. It is so fun to explore what your body can do. And the fitness industry all of a sudden just said like, nope, movement happens in a box with this like kind of like artificial system we've set up on these machines that do these weird things with, you know, it's like it became so restrictive. And I think for us, like for me personally as a trainer, my goal was always, how can I make this as fun as possible so people want to keep doing more of it? And then as a company, as we come here, I think it's like movement is really fun. We always say again, movement is a celebration of what your body can do. There's so many different ways to move. It's so fun to explore all of them, love them, hate some of them, whatever. But movement is fun at the end of the day.
Yeah. And I think there's a lot of the story that like movement shouldn't be fun, doesn't need to be fun. It's like the work you need to put in to, you know, it's not, you're not supposed to enjoy this stuff. And I think, sure, there's always room for whatever story you want to tell yourself that motivates you. But I think when you can connect, when you can have fun at something, the time goes by so fast, right? And you're like, if you like something, that's good for your mental health. That's good for your body. Amen. And I think like, I feel like I was trapped in that. I would assume you probably went through a lot of that, like growing up thinking like movement, or maybe, I don't know, maybe not. Did you feel like you grew up in a place thinking like movement was like just the vehicle that would get you to the thing?
No.
Like it was, no. Okay.
No. I mean, like being restricted into one sport sometimes. But no, I think I'm fortunate because I've always had, even like, I was just working out Lucas and I'm like, what? I'm like so mad in the very moment that I have to do something that's crazy heavy and for the millionth rep. But like my next sentence is like, but I love this so much. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's like, I've always loved movement, and I don't necessarily think that everybody loves the same form of movement. Totally. That's why we encourage different types of movement and creative movement. But I think if you can just like take a moment sometimes inside your movement to be like, how do you feel so good. This is so fun to explore and like push your limits and see what you can do. Also, the more you can move pain-free, the more you're going to have fun in movement and exploring movement. And I think that like, I don't know, it's just always been a core principle of mine, not literally like, is it a smart program? And then is it a fun program? Those were always what my clients knew they were going to get from me. And I think as we build out programming, that's a lot of what we do as well. Yeah.
And I think it ties back to when health is a feeling, when you can start checking in with yourself of like, how do I feel? And I think with movement specifically, this is something that like has totally happened to me over the last like year or two, just because of all these talks and stuff. But like, I have pauses sometimes where I'm like, how can I make this more fun? Like, how can I enjoy this a little bit? And sometimes it's like dropping the weight, Sometimes it's turning up the music. Sometimes it's like adding a little funky dance in between a set or something, just to kind of break up if it's feeling like monotonous, or if it's not feeling fun. Yeah. And I think that's like a super,
I love that. And that reminds me. So shout out to my father, who's been doing our Wednesday live workouts. And the other day we had kind of these challenge moves. And he was saying, with the Olympics and everything going on, you had to swing our legs out. And then I started visualizing like I'm like a dancer, like an ice skater, and like all these movements. And it is such a fun way to explore things about yourself. Like there are so many revelations I have also when you get creative with movement and you push boundaries and you see what's possible or where your failure points are. But at the end of the day, it's just not so serious. It's just fun. It's fun to learn about yourself. It's fun to challenge yourself. It's fun to try new things. It's fun to use your imagination like my dad and pretend you're an ice skater for 5 minutes in a move. Like it's fun. Yeah. At the end of the day, it's fun.
And like when we did the kids workouts with you and your niece, like when I did those with my kid, I was like, I wasn't thinking it was really like a workout. Because I'm like, oh, this is like a play with my kid moment. And then he wanted to do all 3 back to back, which they were around like 7-ish minutes or something.
Yeah.
And I left going like, oh, this is like, I literally just got like the same like level of workout I would have gotten like on my own, but I had a ton of fun. We were like role playing animals and all these fun things. And then he's also just making up his own thing, which I really try to support too. It's not like, oh, you're not doing the right form. It's like he's just jumping around and he's having fun. He's associating fun with movement, like from an early age. Right? I think that's something that we can do a better job at. Obviously, like to the younger generation, is this message is such a positive one. It's like have it be fun.
Yeah, totally. But it goes back also to our mission of like, it's all about a feeling. Because when you're not so dead set on a goal, like you can enjoy the moment, like you can have fun in the journey and everything that's happening when you're just showing up to take care of yourself that day, honor whatever you need that day, and then have fun in it. And I'm not saying every workout has to be fun for people. Sometimes it's not, not everything is fun. But I think at the end of the day, when you are allowed to push the boundaries and explore new things, like there's a lot of joy and fun that comes out of it.
And I think, to be clear, the core value is movement can be fun, which I think is a good distinction than movement is fun or movement is always fun. Because I totally, sometimes you're training for something hard. There's been times where I've trained something in the last year and I'm like, this is not fun. I'm actually kind of dreading it. But I will say that like when I reached the thing that I wanted to reach, I was extremely happy and that was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
But
yeah. And I think there must be, as we're talking about this, I'm like, there is definitely a relationship with being able to enjoy something without having a lot of stress of this outcome you're looking for, right? Like for me, I think about when in my training sessions now, it's like even though like, oh my gosh, this is getting intense. Holy crap, this is hard. I'm feeling the burn. It's still fun because at the end of the day, like there's not a ton of pressure on myself about where it's going to go, right? It's not like, Kaisa, you're going to not make that team if you don't do all this stuff. I'm constantly reminding myself at the end of the day, whether I made it or I failed or whatever, like this is fun. I'm pushing boundaries. I'm enjoying the moment. Like, so I think like pulling that result out of it a lot of times can change people's perspective on things.
Yeah. What? And I just...
Oh no, what? I'm trying to finish my sentence. Mike's over here like smiling. Now what are you going to say?
No, I'm just seeing, we're keeping it real here. I'm just thinking actually there's been a lot of times I filmed you working out before a lot. And I feel like, I don't want to say the wrong thing. I feel like I've definitely experienced you not having fun in movement.
Yeah.
But I think if I pull out even further, I think you find fun in those challenges, like afterwards. Like, so in the moment, it seems you're like, what, really? You want me to do this right now? Like, no, that's too heavy. This is stupid or whatever. You get like,
yeah, I do. He's right.
Angry. You've challenged coaches before. I've seen it. And, but then I think, so I definitely wouldn't be like, oh, Kaisa's having fun right now. But I feel like after the fact, I think you like that challenge and that challenge is fun for you. And so there's something there too to kind
You're nailing it. It's so true. And literally, that's what I'm saying. It's not like every moment is like fun and you love it and this and that. It's just like this overall feeling that I get of like, it was fun to be miserable for a moment. Like, like I like to feel feelings and I'm like, it was fun to push myself through that. Or it was fun to fail and not make it. Or it was fun to tell my coach, you're tripping. Hell no. You know what I mean? Like, and I think I have the ability to know where my boundary is. So on certain times I'm joking, on other times I'm like, no, that's not happening. But all of that is fun because, and fun might not be like, I'm overusing it now. It's lighthearted. Like what's going to happen at the end of the day? You know, if I put down a hard note, it's because I think I'm going to get injured, right? At the end of the day. Other than that, what's going to happen? I fail. When I fail, I learn awesome lessons about myself. You know what I mean? Or what's going to happen? I, did this great job here and I'm like so proud. Yes, all of it is great. It's all great though. It's all fun.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. I'm thinking of this one time we did this like CrossFit competition and my legs were so sore. I literally like couldn't walk. I couldn't get off. If I sat on the couch for too long, they would like freeze up. But I remember like laughing because it was like funny that like I don't recommend that to anybody. I think it's a very unhealthy way to work out. But at sort of like this painful, immobilized moment, even that was fun because it was like I went through that with my wife and we're like enjoying this moment. So but
then like we're kind of like breaking down something like what is fun? Like, because for me, like, is fun like trying new things and having different experiences? You know what I mean? Is fun a feeling of like being, proud or like really just enjoying that moment? Like, I don't know. I think fun can mean so many things, but I think for us, I think we always are wanting to encourage a space where you get to explore yourself, where you get to learn. Movement is the tool that we use while we're doing that. But that's why I think we want to say movement is fun, but because we really want to push boundaries. We really want you to get creative with yourself, to figure out where the edges of yourself are, to learn about yourself. Like, and to have fun doing it might be a very simple way of putting it, but I think that's totally what we set up through movement.
Yeah, and maybe there's, this is the nice thing is like we're literally workshopping this right now. And one of our agreements we did make in the meeting that we wouldn't come back with all new core values.
Yeah.
So this is the only one that feels like it's getting a little bit more workshop.
Yeah.
But I also think just movement can be fun is feels like a very first step, right?
I like it
totally, I love
as a
it
core
too.
value.
Yeah,
I'm just saying as we dissect it, what do people really mean by fun?
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like in life, what do you really mean by fun? Is it just that you're enjoying that moment? Well, we just talked this whole thing through and like you can also enjoy miserable moments.
Totally.
You know what I mean? So I think
it's really just how you choose to experience it. Yeah, that's a big
and show up for it.
Deep.
Whoa.
It's like rain, or it's cold, and it's like you can't always say when it's raining things suck. It's like you can have a great memory in the rain if you let yourself.
No, but this is where I'm getting really excited about this because I think when I try to think, sometimes I do things without thinking. And then when I try to dissect them, I'm like, what did I really mean by that? Or like, why was I always trying to create fun environments for people? Why do I still try to create fun environments for people or for myself? But I think because when something's fun, a lot of times like a new thing is a fun thing, right? Like you don't have fun doing the same thing over and over and over again. And so I think a lot of like creativity with movement was because I want you to try new things. I want you to like be outside of the box. And when you do that, you get to learn about yourself. And ultimately at the end of the day, my goal as a coach is to help you learn about yourself so that you're better connected to yourself. Movement is the tool that I love. Like that's the thing I'm most passionate about. Like that's my favorite tool when it comes to that. But as a coach and as a human being, that's my ultimate goal for you. And so the more you can have fun, the more you can push those limits and find those boundaries, the more you're going to know about yourself.
Yeah. Now this is fun, actually. This is fun. I was just thinking maybe it's part of it is like fun isn't only a result of a situation, but it can be a mindset going into a situation. Because I almost think it's like if you think stumbling, say like in a dance class, or even just like the first time taking a strength or a cardio class, like, or any class, it doesn't matter, none of these, and you stumble, if you go into it with thinking like, this is going to be fun because I'm not going to know how to do everything and I'm probably going to be off balance and I'm learning how to do the thing. You could be all these stumbles, you could be like, you could laugh and go like, oh, that's totally like, that's the fun part is like not knowing how to do it. It could also be the opposite if you go into it thinking you need to nail it and
I'm sorry, but you're on So does that mean having fun removes judgment out of it? Is that what that means? You know what I mean? Because it's like, there's so many things about that where it's like, if you weren't judging yourself, if you weren't being critical about yourself in those moments, you could enjoy them, right? You can enjoy the quote unquote failure of falling and tumbling or not being good at it. And I think, I don't know this answer because I think movement also has always taught me to explore this about myself. And I didn't have fun at soccer and sports because I wasn't perfect at it, but I always loved movement because there's always this freedom in that I can show up and do the best that I can in that day. So I think we have a lot to kind of dissect here, but I think we mean a lot more by fun. I'm not saying we have to change that.
No, not at all.
Because I think movement is fun allows us to talk about what do we mean by fun. Absolutely. You know what I mean? And I love that.
Yeah.
But as a second tangent, we mean a lot by fun, clearly. You know what I mean? It almost becomes the number one core principle for us.
That's cool.
It's really cool.
That is fun.
That is fun. Well, I'm now going to rethink my definition. I feel like fun has a lot more meanings than I thought that it had. Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, also thank you for everyone that's tuning in. Thank you for joining in on this kind of like dissecting, figuring out. I feel like we like our core principles. Those feel really solid and good. Of course, we can kind of dissect them even more, but again, I'm just going to keep repeating. We would love to hear from you. Like, what do you think about those? And you can be like honest.
Yeah, do they feel true?
Do they feel true? If you are a Just Move member and you know, if you've moved with us, like, what do you think? If you're a part of our community, like, what do you think?
And if you follow just Kaisa, like if you're not a Just Mover, like I'm curious to see, like, do these come through? I mean, I'm looking at them and I'm like, yeah, I feel like if you just look on your Instagram, I feel like most of these also come through, but curious, it doesn't matter what I think. Curious what the people think.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
This was really fun.
This was.
I was a little like, oh gosh, we're going to give people an inside scoop today. And I think one of the things that we're good at is not being like polished and perfect and just being able to show up that way. But it does give me sweaty, clammy hands as I'm like trying to have these conversations about things that aren't fully like, you know, they're not perfect.
Yeah, we don't have it fully figured out.
Yeah, they're not perfect.
I think enrolling, you know, the best way to create something special is to create it with people, not just for people.
Absolutely. Because, you know, oh my gosh. Wait, you have to re-say that.
That
was so, you said the best thing. You said it's to create it with people, not for people. But what was the first sentence before? Oh no.
Luckily it's recording.
Luckily it's recorded, but that was so true. And that embodies us. Like I really we are not up here creating something for people here. Like we want to be in an equal playing field with everybody that's a part of our community, which means hearing from you and, you know, being held responsible to like whether or not that feels true or not true. It feels very true for us inside, but are we reflecting that, you know, in the work that we do and the products that we have?
Yeah. And I think it's very like, it's different than say like an art, you know, it's like an art could be like, hey, I'm going to make this thing and people can choose to like it or not. Like that's not the person making the art. They just need to make the art. This is like purely because you have the vision to get the world to move, you know? So it's very important. It's not that you can share your workouts with people. If that change, you know, however you can get the world to move that's the goal. Yeah. So you only can know that by listening to the world.
Exactly. Amen. Yeah. Literally, amen. Yeah. Love it. Okay. Thank you, Mike, for always showing up and having these conversations. And to everyone else that tuned in, thank you so much for joining us as we just continue to evolve with these roundtable discussions. I love showing up and having these discussions. I mean, they feel like therapy, whether it's work, business therapy, or personal therapy. But I just appreciate everyone that's tuning in. Please, again, we encourage you to reach out to us. Let us know if there's certain things that you want to hear us discuss about, topics, whatever. Just definitely keep them coming in.
Subscribe, tell your friends, leave a comment, whatever it is. We'd love to hear from you.
Thank you so much for joining us here today, and we'll see you back on the roundtable very soon.
Peace. We're gonna have to change. We're gonna have to get a round table.
How long was